Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. Arsenal win their first game of the Premier League season at the expense of London rivals West Ham. How did they do it? Where did West Ham go wrong? And would Arsenal need to use their subs to get the upper hand? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to break down how Arsenal beat West Ham. In today's video, we're going to break down why West Ham started so good, how Arsenal recovered, and why the strikers' changes were so significant in the second half. When we do break things down, we have West Ham in more of a 4-4-2. They've gone with that throughout the season to start under Manuel Pellegrini, but here they made some changes. Felipe Anderson played more central behind Arnautovic. Out in wide areas, they went with Antonio and Snodgrass, and in midfield, Carlos Sanchez just in behind Jack Wilshere. We look at Arsenal 4-3-3, no Mesut Ozil. Again, Tyrrell on the bench and Lacazette. That means they go with Iwobi, Aubameyang, and Mkhitaryan up front. In midfield, Ramsey, Guendouzi, and they have Xhaka sitting a bit deeper. We think about West Ham, what did they do right here? Well, they did drop off a bit deeper. They sat in more of a 4-4-2. Ramsey was looking to play a bit higher, so that means Xhaka and Guendouzi did sit off, and they tried to pick up the ball. They had the two forwards in Felipe and Arnautovic sitting just ahead of them, and what basically their shape was all about was simply nullifying space into the attacking players who did cut in a bit narrow. You had Mkhitaryan playing wide, drifting in central from the right-hand side. You had Iwobi cutting in from the left. That means that it did give space for the fullbacks to get forward. Unlike Chelsea last week, they ensured that they did play disciplined wide players. Felipe was renowned for not tracking runs in the opening weeks of the season, so that's why he did get that central role. And here you have Snodgrass doing a pretty decent job on Monreal, and Antonio, at least for the start of the game, did do a decent job on Bellerin before he started to slack off. However, that's what they want to do. They kept compact in midfield. The back line was ready to step up whenever balls were being played in. They wanted to stop Arsenal from playing through midfield. Guendouzi eventually had to drift out into those half spaces to get on the ball. And even when Arsenal tried to press, they made it difficult for them. They tried to press through the front, what are on goal kicks. They had the front two push in. If Xhaka dropped off, they had Wilshere push out to him. They know that Czech doesn't want to play balls out of the back, so they would prefer for him to punt it. And that's how West Ham went about things. That's how they kind of stopped them from playing, and that was key. But they also had some strengths. And when you look at the strengths and how they really did push forward, you have to think about Arnautovic. He's obviously their key player, helped stretch the line, pushing forward, making runs into those channels. But you think about Antonio out on the left-hand side, winning his duels with Bellerin, just playing balls into him. He's able to just use his power to spin off him, drive forward. It didn't really lead to many goal-scoring chances. There was one in particular where from a simple throw-in, he holds off Bellerin, Mkhitaryan comes over to help. He's able to breeze past both and then fire a shot on goal that Czech does save, or he did flash that one wide actually. So when you look at that, he was bombing forward, using his power and strength to push forward, but the key man here was Felipe Anderson. They had no idea on how to stop him, and that was a big issue because you have two holding players that are there to kind of sit a bit deeper and to ensure that Felipe Anderson doesn't get time on the ball, but he was the key man. He helped create the opener. West Ham looked to break. Wilshere plays it out to Felipe Anderson. Acres of space to just charge forward. Where is the Arsenal midfield? Charges forward, combines with Arnautovic, plays the pass to him, gets it back, plays it back to Arnautovic. He fires a shot that Czech should save, but he doesn't. You think about another opportunity in the half where it's just a simple, quick free kick. Again, he receives the ball in that pocket of space in behind Xhaka and Guendouzi, breaks forward. What happens here is that you have Antonio drifting out, coming across his marker to get the ball in behind, plays the pass into him, he fires a shot right on goal, should score, doesn't score. Big issue for West Ham, but that's another opportunity that they do get. You think about Felipe Anderson more so in the second half, just on the counterattack getting chances, dispossessing Guendouzi, breaking forward down the left-hand side, pulling it back for Arnautovic. He fires his tame effort on goal. You think about a Carlos Sanchez diagonal out to him. He cuts in, forces check into a save. At the end of the game, runs by Ramsey. He plays out wide to Lucas Perez. The cross goes through the box, but it was all about Felipe Anderson in transition. They weren't able to pick him up. He was able to pick up the ball in pockets of spaces. He forced the Arsenal defense into fouls. He was the key man for them. Obviously, Arnautovic had his chances, just peeling in behind, receiving passes from Snodgrass, breaking into the channels and teeing up Snodgrass on a few efforts. But when you look at West Ham as a whole, that is where they were finding joy. In the first half, Felipe Anderson was key on the counterattack. Antonio's breaking down the left-hand side. In the second half, it was solely about Felipe Anderson on the counterattack. When we look about Arsenal and how they got back into the game, well, there was a lot of things that came into play there. Like I said, once they went up, they were fine with dropping off a bit deeper, but that wasn't the case. What it really was that Mkhitaryan played a key role also quietly, drifting inside. They had Aubameyang breaking in behind. You think about a few instances where Aubameyang is able to just run off into the channel, go 1v1 with Diop. There was one time where he did break into that space and Diop was able to push him off the ball. There was another opportunity where it was just a chipped ball from Xhaka. What happens is that Diop comes across. Aubameyang is able to step to him, push it by him, run forward. You have Ramsey breaking in behind Balbuena, but Fredericks comes across to make the tackle. You think about Aubameyang, his game is about breaking into the channels, breaking in behind, and that's what he was doing in some aspects. But really what it came down to was down the right-hand side for Arsenal. Just poor discipline from West Ham. You think about the two big chances that Arsenal had in the first half. One of them led to the goal. We get to it. It's Mkhitaryan drifting out to the right-hand side. He's there. If he's out wide, that means Bellerin is obviously forward. This was at the point when Antonio wasn't tracking the run, so it's 1v1. You have him free there on goal, or Bellerin free just in behind Masuaku. He's going to make the run there. You know he's going to make the run there. So when he makes the run there, Wilshire's beside him. He's pushing over to cover. You have Diop here, and then you have Ramsey breaking in. So Ramsey breaks into the box. Wilshere should be tracking Bellerin. He doesn't. He pushes off, and then Bellerin's able to break into the box, pull his cross through it, and then it falls to Monreal, who taps it in. Wilshere should drift to him because he's the closest man. Diop has his marker, but he doesn't, and he lets him break through. Another opportunity that stems from it is that Bellerin and Mkhitaryan are out on the right-hand side. Who pushes over? It's Masuaku and it's Antonio. So they do push over. They're there to ensure that there's no overload, no combination. What happens is that Wilshire's free ball watching. He checks his shoulder twice and he sees Ramsey breaking into that space and he doesn't track him. Lets him break through. Mkhitaryan flicks the ball there and he fires a deflected effort on goal that Fabianski does save. But when you think about it as a whole, if Wilshere just tracks his marker, follows him, probably the cross doesn't go through, probably Fabianski doesn't have to make the save, and West Ham are probably up 1-0. However, they go into the second half 1-1, and what happens in the second half? Changes are made. Instantly, what happens? Lacazette replaces Iwobi. So Lacazette's up front, you have Aubameyang on the left, and you still have Mkhitaryan on the right. Not a bad issue, but it's the difference between Aubameyang and Lacazette, and it's why Arsenal fans are probably upset, is Aubameyang, like I said initially, likes to make the runs into the channels. You think about his chances throughout the game. There was only one instance where he dropped off, turned, and fired a shot over the net. He likes to run at markers. He forced Diop into a booking, but you don't really see him drifting off or holding up play. Lacazette does that, and he can break him behind. So what happens now? Arsenal have an all-round attack, and they get a bit better throughout the second half. Tyrrell does come in for Guendouzi, who didn't have the best of games. And we look about the best chances that Arsenal did create in that second half, it stems through Lacazette. There's one where the ball is played into him from Tyrrell. He's able to pull off Diop. Diop follows him, but then he cuts back in on him and he's able to fire a shot on goal. That's one opportunity. You think about another opportunity where all he simply does is drop off into that space, picks up the ball, and he's able to just push it out wide to the left-hand side, for Aubameyang. He knows Aubameyang wants to break him behind, but by him dropping off, he pulls a marker with him, and it creates space for other Arsenal players. The goal in itself, how does it come about? Well, it's Ramsey nodding a ball into his path. Carlos Sanchez is the one that's marking him. And what happens here is Aubameyang breaks into the box towards Diop, but what you get here is Lacazette is able to hold him off, pick up the loose ball, and try to play it into Aubameyang. What happens is that it hits off Diop and goes in, but that wouldn't happen with Aubameyang. He's not that great with his back to goal. He isn't able to hold it up, and that was key here for Arsenal, and that was another opportunity. Their best opportunity after that stems from when Lacazette drops off, and what he's able to do is pick up the ball, and he picks it up from Ramsey, and what happens here is that you have Aubameyang running in behind Fredericks, in behind Balbuena. He picks up the ball, cuts in on Diop, and then fires his shot on goal. But when you look at it as a whole, West Ham didn't have any chances in the second half following that Felipe Anderson initial break where he teed up Arnautovic. What happens there is that they bring on Javier Hernandez. Javier Hernandez has been great, and he showed improvements up front. But what happens with Javier Hernandez is this. When he drops off and he links play and looks to get the ball back. West Ham didn't have much of the ball, and what you don't get from Javier Hernandez is a runner looking to charge into the channels, looking to hold off his marker, looking to wait to bring his teammates in like Arnautovic can, and that's where West Ham suffered. They had Felipe Anderson's counterattacks, but that was about it. But when you look at Arsenal, they started with Aubameyang. He breaks him behind. He does offer a threat. Lacazette comes on, able to drop off, able to link play with teammates, able to play in Aubameyang and behind, and Arsenal were able to get that second goal, hold off the pressure that Felipe Anderson offered, and then Danny Welbeck was able to finish off the game in injury time. But when you break down the game as a whole, Arsenal didn't start it well. They weren't able to contain Antonio. They weren't able to stop Felipe Anderson from getting the ball between the lines. However, Jack Wilshere's inability to track his runners brought Arsenal back into the game as Aubameyang drifted into that right-hand channel, and a lot of his teammates did as well, and no one were able to pick them up. And then when you look at the second half, the strikers' changes made the difference. Lacazette coming on gave Arsenal a deeper threat, and when you think about West Ham, Javier Hernandez just doesn't offer you what Arnautovic does. But when you think about it, that was how Arsenal were able to get their first 3 points under Unai Emery. But let me know what you guys think. Is Lacazette deserving of a start finally in this Arsenal team? Where will West Ham finish this season? And do Lacazette and Tyrrell give Arsenal the threat that they need to challenge for a top 4 spot? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And that was your daily dose of the InnerViews.